Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to Nibbling Around Town. I am Mark Whalen, your host, and today I'm also your chef and I'm your captain. Well, I'm taking you to the French Riviera, sailing on a beautiful sailboat, eating off the land, wonderful, fresh salad, Mediterranean salad, a beautiful, freshly made baguette, a roast chicken, some wonderful wine, olive oil, olives. All these things are so easy to get. Sailing on the French Riviera, stopping at a small village, or even a large town like Saint-Tropez. No matter where you go, there's always a fresh baguette and a street vendor selling these beautiful rotisserie chickens. Makes it so easy to live. And then you get your fresh vegetables right there at the street market. We're using cucumber today, and some beautiful feta cheese, and some tomatoes, lettuce, and of course the olives. What I'm going to start with, of course, is all French people would do. You always start with a glass of wine. And this is a French Côte de Rhône, which is regional to the coast of France, where we're going to be visiting. So allow me to open this up for you, and I will invite you to get a glass and join me. I'm sure this is going to be very tasty if I can get the bottle open without making a mess. So give me a minute, and we'll get this going. Okay, there we go, just like a pro. So, here we go. Probably should have opened that and let it sit for a minute, but Côte de Rhône is a very nice, dry, somewhat, it's got some nice fruit tannins to it, but it's a nice dry table wine. You see it everywhere in France. It's actually very cheap to buy in France. A bottle like that you can get for $7 or less in the local market, or even at a sidewalk cafe. So let me taste this for you. Very good, very nice and dry, perfect for a meal like this. And I know what you might be thinking, well, I'm doing red wine with a salad and the chicken. Well, in France, it doesn't matter. That red wine, white wine thing is pretty much an American. So, but in France, red wine is usually the preferred wine, regardless of your meal. And this actually would be what we would serve on the boat for lunch. So, again, this wine is great. Now, what we'll start with is we'll start with a cucumber. And you can see I get the special kind, a little bit more expensive, but it's a lot better, and I'll show you why. My little scraps here. Unlike a lot of the regular cucumbers, these do not have a great deal of seeds in them, and that makes it much easier and tastier, actually, to use. Because if you get the regular kind, you know, they usually come pretty thick and seeded, which I don't really care for. So you can see what I'm talking about. It's very tight inside. So very, very, very simple. Just cut this up. Of course, we're safe here. I can tell you a little story while I'm cutting. We were enjoying our lunch one day, just sort of sailing along. And here comes a high-speed ferry roaring down and just went real close to us and its wake. Our salads, our wine, our bread went all over us, all over the cockpit. It was a mess. And you know, of course, they were gone in 2 seconds, so there was nothing we could do but clean up after ourselves. But that's, I guess, part of the price you pay. So let's have a tomato. Now, again, I'm using one of these nice tomatoes you get at the grocery store. Obviously, if it's summertime and you can get these things in season, better yet. Or get it right out of your own garden, even better. So I'll take this and we'll just cut this up a little bit. It's good to have the moisture. So let's see. I used, maybe about a couple of inches worth of cucumber, and I'm going to start with one. I might go to 2 tomatoes because these aren't very, very big. And you definitely want the juices. You want to get as juicy a tomato as you can, and just use your hands and scoop all the liquid you can get in there, and just toss that a little bit. So you can see we're starting to build our salad. Now, before I go any further, let me talk about the lettuce. Usually in a salad like this, it's served just plain, served with some chicken and some bread, but you can make this in any way you want to. So you can have a simple salad with just this. You can add the lettuce to it if you want to make it a larger salad. Maybe for dinner you might want to do that. You can leave out the lettuce. And I would use, this is a green leaf lettuce. You could use a red leaf lettuce. Just about any kind of lettuce would do, except I would stay away from iceberg. That's good for salads like wedge salads and things like that. But it tends to be too watery and just doesn't hold up. So green leaf lettuce would be my preferred lettuce to use. Of course, it's time for a little bit more wine. Yes, please join me. So let me see. I'm going to add another tomato, because that one was relatively small. And as I do this, I'll tell you a little bit more. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of being in the French Riviera before. I've had the pleasure of sailing along a friend's sailboat for a couple of summer seasons all along the coast. And there's lots of wonderful places to stop. There's the big cities like you may know of, like I mentioned, Saint-Tropez, and some others. There's Nice, of course, but the best are all those small little islands and small little villages where you can just get a slip, get off the boat, and walk into this wonderful little village with the mountains, and you can go hiking, you can go swimming. It's just a wonderful, magical place to go. So if you ever have the opportunity, if you haven't been to the south of France or the Mediterranean, I highly encourage you to do it. It's one of my favorite places. It's really magical. It really is. And of course, there's great shopping, and there's, if you want to go to Monte Carlo, you can go to the casinos. There's just a little bit of everything to do there. And in the summertime, the weather is usually beautiful. I prefer to go in September, really. It's the beginning of the off-season. It's a little bit quieter. The weather is still beautiful. The main part of the season usually runs in July and August. Pretty much like our summer season up here for the Cape Cod area or something like that. So, okay, there we are. There, now I've got starting with a nice bowl of my fruit. And yes, you do call tomatoes a fruit. Oh, what am I going to add next? Let's talk about feta cheese. Here we have a nice big block of feta cheese, which is very healthy Greek or French or Italian. This happens to be a Greek feta cheese. You can get this very inexpensively at your local market. And this feta cheese is good for anything. You can nibble of it by itself on a cracker, put it in salads. There's some recipes online you can find. It's great with using it for baking it with chicken and things like that. It's very, very versatile and very, very healthy cheese, and I like a lot of it. So you can see that I'm taking a big chunk using my hands and just going to mush this in all over this salad. And let's see, what am I doing here? All right. Now, I'm seeing that I've forgotten my oregano, but at this point in time, I would be adding oregano to it. That's a wonderful spice. You can get fresh oregano. What you get in a little jar at the grocery store is also fine. And I would use, for this amount, maybe just a sprinkle of about a tablespoon of it on. It's wonderful. It adds a lot to it. Time for some wine. Very, 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 very good. So at this stage, we'll talk about olive oil, and I'm going to add olive oil to this. This is an extra virgin olive oil, and I encourage you, whenever you're using olive oil, not so much for cooking, but for salads or anything like that where you're using this raw, definitely go for the extra virgin. It really does make a difference. What it means is the extra virgin olive oil is the first press that the olive goes through. And as it goes to a second and third press, it goes down to a regular olive oil. And what that means is the first press, you're getting most of the flavor, the tannins, everything that's in that olive into the liquid. So it adds a lot more robust flavor. And yes, just like wine, you can find olive oils that come from all kinds of regions over Italy and Greece and Turkey even. And yes, they're all a little bit different, just like a wine. So you can just choose your favorite. They come in amber colors, they come green. It's very versatile. You can use just about any brand that you like. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can get it at any of the local discount markets, and it's great. One thing I would caution you on when you're cooking with oil, or especially olive oil, always remember hot pan, cold oil. So you heat your pan first, and if you're cooking with olive oil, you want the flavor, but it has a very short burn to it. So in other words, it burns very quickly and gets hot very quickly. So if you want the flavor of olive oil, you're going to cook with olive oil, I would first start with some vegetable oil, heat that up, and then add your olive oil for the flavor. It'll make that cooking, you'll get the flavor that you want out of the olive oil, but you'll be able to fry or to brown something before it burns. Because if you use this by itself, it's going to burn pretty quickly, and you'll just have yourself a mess. So that's a little bit of a 101 on olive oil. This happens to be an Italian olive oil, and I got this just at the local market, and every time I try one, I try a different one. They all have a little bit of a different flavor to them, but definitely remember extra virgin olive oil. And then what do I do with it? Just sprinkle it and get a good amount in there. I like to put this first before I do the vinegar, because we want this to get absorbed into the cheese and the vegetables. And at this point, you can make this, hours ahead of time, and let it sit out room temperature. Don't put it in the refrigerator, because the cold is going to make the olive oil congeal and get gooky. You don't want that. So leave it out on the countertop, cover it with a little saran or something like that. Or what I like to do is a paper towel. I'll just put a paper towel over it and wet the paper towel, and that just will sit there for a couple of hours. And actually, it's better that way, because then it just, the flavors of everything just sort of meld together, and it just makes the dish just a little bit better. So again, you can make this hours ahead of time and just leave it out. And I would wait and put the vinegar in last. I'm using a basic red wine vinegar. Again, there's nothing special about this. It's just red wine vinegar, but it's very, very good. And we'll just add a little bit of that, just like that. And of course, we want some salt. And this is a sea salt in a salt shaker or grinder. And I really recommend using this over the little thing of table salt where it's already done, and you want something like this. This is a Tuscan coarse sea salt. It's healthier, it gives a much better flavor and a much better texture than the finely ground salt that you can get. So we'll just give this a couple of passes. And then I have fresh peppercorns. Again, go the extra a little bit. It might cost you a little bit more, but it's well worth it. And this is also a Tuscan. It's got lots of different kinds of peppercorns in it, different colors, which have different flavors and different intensities. And again, cracking that up, cracking that fresh really does make a difference than the stuff that's already been ground up and sitting for who knows how long. So give that some good passes. And we'll let that sit for a minute while I have another sip of this delicious wine. I hope you're enjoying some with me while we're cooking and sailing along the south of France. Yeah, it's trying to think of some other antidotes or other things that I've experienced on the boat, but it's always exciting. One other time we were enjoying, again, we were just finishing dinner, and the skipper was down in the galley cleaning things up, and the rest of us are sitting out in the cockpit in this back of the boat here out in the open. And what happens, I see a small tsunami coming, literally. And it's just this roll of water. And there was a huge yacht out there, and it just crashed over sideways. You could hear pots and pans and glasses and dishes just crashing all over the place. So I hollered down to the skipper. I said, "Don't ask me questions, just hold on, and hold on quick." And sure enough, that big wave came and hit us, and we were safe. We weren't going to knock over or anything like that, but pots and pans and everything just went all over the place. Anything that was left, our wine and everything else, just went flying and breaking all over the place. But that's one of the things that is what makes it so exciting and exotic and fun to be sailing. And that could happen to you anywhere. It happened in the Long Island Sound, I guess. But anyway, that's another little story. Now, what do I do with the lettuce? Well, I'll just break up a little bit just to show you. I much prefer, when I do a lettuce, I like to break it up by hand. Don't cut it. Break it up by hand. I know people say, "Oh, you're going to bruise it." No, that's totally silly. You're not going to bruise it. And it just makes it look better. Again, just use your hands. The only thing you can notice that I'm not doing yet is I'm not touching the chicken with my hands. We'll do that last so I don't contaminate, even though we're all going to be eating the same thing. That way it's just a little bit safer. So we'll just make a little bit of this lettuce. I'm not sure I'm going to have this, but I just want you to see how versatile it can be. So there, we've put a little bit of mixed lettuce in here. And we've got our cucumbers, and we've got our salad going, and, well, what do we have here? Kalamata olives. These are wonderful in flavor. They are very briny, salty. They have a nice texture and tang to them. It's very important. Olives are everywhere in the south of France and in the Mediterranean. You go to a market and they have so many olives. It's just incredible. All kinds of colors and flavors and sizes of olives. It's obviously from Italy and Greece. They're famous for their olives. And in this, we definitely want a Kalamata olive, black olive. Please don't use the little black olives that you get in the jar that are inexpensive at the store. They have no flavor, no taste. They don't add anything to it. These really have a wonderful flavor to them, that they add that salt, that brine into the salad. And generous amount we'll add in there. It looks beautiful too. It adds lots of color. So we've got the green of the cucumber, we've got the red of the tomato, we've got the white from the cheese, and then now we have the black from the olives. And it just makes a very beautiful and festive salad. I know it's kind of difficult to see, but it just makes a beautiful festive salad. And I will put some in this plate. I invite you to join me again. Just give myself a little bit of a A little bit of that. Make sure I have a couple of olives. There, make a nice little plate like that. There we go. Now, how simple is that? And you know, you've seen all the ingredients. You know how simple it is. It's obviously very healthy. And if you're not a fan of cucumber, you're not a fan of tomato, you put in a little bit less, put in a little bit more if it's a favorite. But pretty much stick with this basic recipe. It's very healthy. It's very fresh. It's wonderful any time of the year, but especially in the spring and the summer months. It's a nice, cool, refreshing salad. Now, again, if I want to make it a little bit heartier, we'll just add some lettuce. We can do it on the side, or we could all mix it together as a traditional salad. And if you want just to have it on the side, so you have a variety of having the salad with the cucumber and all, and then the lettuce by itself. And then just dress the lettuce a little bit. A little bit of olive oil for that flavor. A little bit more vinegar. So what you've got now is you've got two salads right there on that plate. Two healthy salads. Add a little bit more salt. A little bit more pepper, and there, voila, we have the Mediterranean salad, or a lot of people refer to it as a Greek salad, and then we have nice fresh greens, which complement it beautifully. A little bit more wine. It's always important to keep the chef happy with some wine. Now, chicken. Two things that you're going to find, I think I might have mentioned it everywhere, south of France. Baguettes, fresh baguettes on it, just about every street corner, and rotisserie chicken. Everywhere you go, you're going to find both. Rotisserie chicken's just cooking on a little stand on the side of the road or sidewalk, and they just cook all day long. You go up, buy one, they put it in a little bag for you with some juice, and voila, you have lunch or dinner, and it just pairs very, very well with the salad. So I'm going to cut into this chicken a little bit for you, and I'm just going to make a couple of slices. You can see it's been rotisserie. It's nice and brown all the way around it. I'll give myself a couple of nice slices. All right, now, something that's very important with this. Don't worry about any of the dressing of the salad getting mixed in with the chicken. It's wonderful. It just makes it, just adds to it wonderfully flavor. So don't be afraid of that. So let's have some baguette. There we go. I always like to cut it on the diagonal a little bit. Just adds a little bit of interest to it than versus just doing it straightforward. So there we have a couple of nice slices of baguette. And there we have our lunch or our dinner. It makes wonderful for guests. It's just a fabulous meal. Now, I'm going to try it, and then we're going to talk about some other things. Yeah, so you get the flavor of the olive oil. It's delicious. It's fresh. Oh. I'm telling you, the salad is just so fresh. Some chicken, dropped it. And I'm going to mix it up and have some of that chicken with some of that feta cheese together. It is probably with my mouth full, but it's okay. It's a food show. It's wonderful. Took a little bit too big a bite. The baguette. What do you do with the baguette? Again, you sop up all the juices. The tomato juices, the cheese, all the juices, the salt, the pepper. It's magical. Perils of a cooking show. Eating and swallowing, and trying to talk at the same time doesn't always go well together. But I had to try this. I had to show you how wonderful it is and how versatile this is. You've got two different kinds of salads. You've got the chicken, you've got your bread. You can customize this just to be about any way you want to. You add to it. If you have something else, a favorite you want to throw into the salad, try it. It's all about what tastes good to your palate, your family and your friends, but I guarantee you they will love this dish. It's really, really delicious. And let's see, what else do we have to talk about? Well, I think that's pretty much it. I have enjoyed this very much. You can see it's a wonderful display of food. It's inexpensive, very healthy, and it's a lot of fun, and it's certainly something that's very different, especially in the summer months. And, you know, when you're eating it and you're making it, just kind of visualize the fact that you might be on a sailboat. You might be in the French Riviera enjoying the beautiful blue azure seas, as they call them. It's a wonderful experience. Now, I also want to mention we've got some events coming up, and the one in particular that I'm involved in, I'd like to mention, is Art on Groton Bank. That is going to be Saturday, June 8th at the Bill Memorial Library in Groton. It is an outdoor art festival where we take over the grounds of this beautiful library, and we have artists and artisans of all types. We have jewelry and just all kinds of great fun things for sale. You can buy a painting for a couple $100, or you can buy a little trinket for $1. And we've got food and music and all kinds of great things, and lots of ample free parking. A shuttle service that's going to go to the water taxi, which is free and running all day. You can go over to New London. So it's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., 240 Monument Street. Put Art on Groton Bank on your calendar. I think your family and your friends will love it. It's a lot of fun. And it's a very good cause. We are a nonprofit, and all the proceeds that we make go right into the library. And it's a beautiful building on its own. So, thank you for joining me today. Tupi a tavola a mangiare. Enjoy all this food. I wish you were here to help me finish it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again on Nibbling Around Town very soon.